Hello. Again, we are so happy that you are with us here today. Again, my name is Denise Harlow. I'm the CEO of the National Community Action Partnership, and today our webinar is focused on social media. And I want to give a shout out to Mary Chips and the West Virginia State Association. Mary reached out a couple months ago and said, Denise, we'd really like to have a webinar focused on social media for our local agencies. We have some agencies who've gotten their feet wet on a few different places. We got a number of agencies in Facebook. We got some on Twitter. But it would be really helpful to have a webinar on kind of the basics. How do we do it? When we think about Community Action Month or Weatherization Month, we really want our agencies to be engaged. And we said, Mary, that's a fantastic idea. I know she's on the webinar today. Hi, Mary. And we really wanted to say, let's expand this a little bit. So we just put it into our e-news a couple of times to see if people wanted to join us while we did this webinar today. And we had over 80 people, I think, register online from across the country. So Mary, we leveraged your request to a nationwide webinar, so thank you for that. We are recording today's webinar and it will be available. We'll make sure all the registrants and attendees get a copy of the link to go see it again. We'll make sure you get copies of the slides. As well today, there might be some good questions that you might have specifically, and we would hope that you'll put them either in the Q&A window down there on the lower right-hand corner of your screen or open up the chat window. We'll be pausing periodically to take a look at those screens to see if there are questions that we want to address during the webinar. Go to the next slide. We are joined today by Johnny Usley from the team here at the partnership. You may have seen Johnny at our national conferences running around with his camera, and he's tweeting and he's doing our e-newses. He is incredibly busy at our national events. He's also the one who gets those e-newses out to you that are designed in a way that we hope you find the articles that you're looking for. He does our social media, he does our tweets, he does our Facebook, he does Instagram, all that good stuff. And he's been doing this stuff a while, so he's going to really kind of do the nuts and bolts, as it were, today. You don't want me doing the nuts and bolts, although I do have a Twitter feed at Partnership CEO that I hope you follow, and I really love Twitter, so we'll talk about that as well. So let's go to the next slide. So today we're going to talk about a variety of topics, and again, don't forget about the Q&A window or the chat window to put in questions. We have too many people, I think, to unmute today, but we'd love to be able to answer your questions if you put them in the windows. We're going to cover a big field today. We're going to talk about how social media is a little bit different today than even it was 5 years ago. I forget, was Twitter 10 years old at this point, maybe, something like that? I've been on it for a number of years, but it looks different, it feels different. There's always some new bells and whistles, and we don't even know what social media, there'll be something new a year from now, 2 years from now. If I know about it, it's probably too old for the new generation to really be out there using it. So we want to make sure we talk about what social media is today. We're going to give you some how-tos and some best practices. None of this is written in stone, and you may have found really cool shortcuts or really great ways of doing stuff. And if we're not covering something, let us know. We'd love to have a chat with you offline so we can increase our own skill sets as well. We're going to talk about tips for engagement, how to increase the comments. A lot about social media is about engaging in a conversation. I was just looking on my phone. I tweeted Metro over the weekend. I went to a ball game and said I took the Metro to the ball game. It just reopened, and I got a tweet back from the DC Metro saying thanks for riding. So you really want to get in that engagement conversation. We're going to talk about captioning photos. How do you schedule? When's the best time to send a tweet, a post? What do you call Instagram? An Instagram post? I'm going to learn something here today. What are some of the best timing for those things? And how do you use social media to promote an event? We have a lot of really interesting stuff coming up. I'm thinking of census and things like that we can really use social media to get out the door. Next slide. And so we're going to talk about how to use Facebook Live. Hopefully you've seen a number of things on Facebook Live for us. We get on there periodically and have a conversation and interview someone, or we're talking about a hot topic. I'm going to learn something about Instagram. I have an Instagram account, but I have not used it, but I hear it's a really cool platform, so I want to learn more about that. It's a lot easier today to design social media graphics. We're going to walk you through some easy-to-use components and tools that you can design really cool graphics, and you can always use ours, and Johnny's going to cover some of ours that are always shareable, stealable, borrowable. Anything you want to do with them, they are yours to use. We want to talk a little bit about kind of all those layers, right? You got your communications leads, although some of our agencies, right, you wear multiple hats. You don't necessarily have a dedicated staff person, so what are the variety of roles that staff have? How do you balance that maybe with my own personal Facebook account versus the agency's Facebook account? We're going to talk about resources, and then some cautions and policies. We always have to cover our butts, I guess, a little CYA, and social media policies are real, and they're important for agencies to have. So let's go to the next slide. So again, I'm going to turn this over here to Johnny in just a moment, but there's a lot of reasons to use social media today, and I hope that you yourself are engaged personally. I find, again, Twitter is how I keep abreast of every hot topic, every new report. I also get to, get some see comedians once in a while and that sort of thing, but it really keeps me up to date on the most current. I had information about the Annie Casey or Aspen Ascends 2Gen reframing report, and, an hour before I got it in my inbox, and then maybe I wouldn't even open it on my inbox had I not seen it on Twitter. So it's all about multiple platforms and using all of these platforms. So, Johnny, I'm going to turn it over to you here on this slide to see if there's anything you want to add to this, and then we'll turn the ball over to you to move us through a number of the slides. So thank you, everyone, for being with us here today. Johnny?
Thanks, Denise. Hi, everyone. I'm Johnny. Here we are, social media today. So why would we use social media? You can reach people that are remote to the work that you do. It's a good way to demonstrate the impact of your agency, the kind of work that you're doing, reaching donors. It's a good way to educate and advocate for community action, of course, and then raise awareness to the wider issues that we address. And you'll see here that I included just a couple resources for finding general news about poverty to engage people to the wider issues. So here's some best practices. For written content, be brief and to the point. Most people that use social media when they're on social media have a pretty short attention span. So getting right to the point is key. If you don't, someone's just going to scroll right past your post. Being conversational. Being conversational is more engaging, it's inviting, less intimidating. Whenever possible, whenever I'm writing content, I try to use everyday common words as opposed to jargon or specialized language, something that's really inclusive. You'll want to be nonpartisan. You don't want to alienate anyone from the conversation. Increase visibility by using hashtags. So anytime, say, like we've been posting a lot about the census lately. So hashtag census 2020, hashtag count me in, hashtag community action counts. It's a great way to increase visibility. They're searchable. You're inserting yourself in an active conversation, something that's timely, something that people are interested in. And tags and mentions, you'll use them strategically. So the latest research actually says if you over tag or you over mention, it actually hurts your engagement. So you'll use the tags whenever you post something that you know is going to be of interest or involves one of your partners or something like that. Like you don't just want to just go crazy with it and just tag people just thinking that more people will see it. That tends to actually irritate people, but it is very important to tag and mention. But just do it strategically.
Johnny?
Yep.
Maybe we could talk a little bit about what you mean by tag and by mention. My interpretation of when you say tag people, if there's something you want to get someone's attention, like if you tag @Partnership CEO in my Twitter feed, I'll get a little thing that tells me, hey, Denise, someone tagged you in their tweet. Or on Facebook, right? If a friend tags you that in your picture, in your feed, you see that you got tagged. It's the way that people kind of get your attention. But do you use the @ symbol typically, Johnny? How do you do that?
Right. So the difference between tagging and mentioning, tagging is for if you post a photo you'll go up to like the little option button, and then you can search your friends or whatever, tag people, or on Facebook you can even tag pages. A mention is like something you use in the comment. That's when you at somebody. So like on Twitter, when you at somebody, that's a mention. If you post a photo and it's a photo of your friend, that's when you tag them. So that's the difference. And we actually have a resource for tags and mentions on Facebook if you click this tags and mentions link, and I also have included it at the end. Does that sort of answer your question, Denise?
It does. Thank you.
Cool. All right, so some more best practices. Pictures are so important. You see here this statistic, folks are 3 times more likely to engage with a tweet that includes a photo. On Facebook, it's 2 times more if it has a photo. So whenever you can, you definitely want to include a photo. And I've included some tips on taking quality photos for social media from your camera, but I'll share with you some of the tips I use. So you're using your phone, you're going to want to tap on the subject so that it'll focus. Otherwise, your phone is sort of trying to predict what you're trying to take a photo of, but it doesn't always know. So if you don't tap on the subject that you're focusing in on, then you might be focusing in on the background or something periphery, and then what you're actually trying to take a photo of ends up being really blurry. Shooting from multiple angles, because you never really know like how it's going to look, especially with lighting. So the more angles that you can shoot from, the better chance that you're going to have a good photo that's in focus, has great lighting, and just looks good. And the lighting can really make or break your photo. So oftentimes what I do is I'll take a bunch of photos and then I'll review them before I move on, or stop taking photos. Like, take a look at what you're taking a photo of before you just stop. You want to take a bunch of them. Like, you may take, like when I'm at conference, I might take 50 photos and 2 of them are good. So the more photos that you take, the better. So yeah, that. Timing. So you'll see here, best time to post on Facebook is between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. And that the best time to post on Twitter is between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday or Thursday, with the emphasis between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. I feel like that's definitely true. I think it probably varies on the kind of content that you're posting, or like the kind of, so for us, 9 a.m. is pretty good, but definitely 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Is a prime time to post. And then I've also noticed between 7 and 8 p.m. at night, posting news-related content, not so much on the weekend, but on the weekdays, Monday through Thursday, that gets really great engagement. And we've got some resources down here on best times to post, and a list of social media scheduling tools, which brings us to our next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. So this resource has a list of a bunch of scheduling tools. We use Hootsuite. I'm going to cover that in a moment. But it's good to schedule your social media posts in advance. That way that you can take advantage of the prime time slot, so that you're going to get the biggest reach, the most engagement, that people are going to see what you're doing, as opposed to just doing it on the fly. So we'll come back to that later, and I've also posted these resources at the end of the slide too.
And we're going to make sure that everyone gets a link to all of these links. You'll get the live link so you can go view these documents directly.
Thanks, Denise. So tips for engagement: share your stories. Narratives engage people. They reach them emotionally. People are much more responsive to a story than they are data. Like, data is great, but when you're talking about social media, stories are what's most impactful. So right here we have a picture. This is a success story from Community Action Inc. in Topeka. And it features one of their customers named Ricky, who had his gas shut off due to a bad water heater. And their weatherization team performed some air sealing measures and repaired his furnace. And I've got a link to the success story that they posted to their website with the hashtag Weatherization Wednesday. And I've also tagged the Kansas Association. So it really behooves you that if you have good success stories, to have a place that you're posting them, so that we can share them. And then, you know, the hashtag Weatherization Wednesday sort of ties it to something timely, something that everyone in the network is familiar with. And then, of course, Community Action in Topeka doesn't have a Twitter handle, but we did tag the Kansas Association. They retweeted it, and they got some good engagement. So yeah, share your customer success stories. Another thing that you can do is post a feature on a dedicated staff member. And on the next slide, we've got some examples. So on the left, we have Mid-Cumberland Community Action Agency. They're in Tennessee. They posted a feature on Paula Daniels, who is a case manager. She won a TIAA Difference Maker Award. So we shared that in our e-news. We shared it on social media. And then on the right, we have something a little different. This is a cool running series from CEO in Troy, New York, the Commission for Economic Opportunity, I believe. And so this just goes through 8 a.m. Here's what Heather Smith does as a Head Start home visitor, and then goes through her whole day. It includes pictures and little brief descriptions of what her day is like, to sort of like give the people that are following you a sort of an idea of the kind of work that you do. Some more tips for engagement. So a couple times a month, you might try posting some interactive content. So it could be a Twitter poll or a Facebook survey. You can ask a question. You'll see here on the right, we've got a screenshot of a tweet by Save the Children UK. And it says, what's your favorite way to help children every day? Reply with the emoji that represents you. And then they've also tied it to World Emoji Day. So not only is it encouraging people to respond in a way that's really simple and easy, but it's also tying it to something that's timely by posting it on World Emoji Day. And really the reason that you want to do this is that the interactive content, it encourages people to actually engage with your post as opposed to just reading it and moving on. And here's some more tips for engagement. So when appropriate, using humor is a great way to engage people. Social media is supposed to be fun. Most people my age, all my friends, they say the reason that I use social media is to laugh and to have fun, something that's sort of enjoyable and light. And I know that doing the work that we do, it's not always appropriate to use humor, but whenever possible, it's good to sort of balance things out and sort of share some positivity and engage people with a little humor. Posting a variety of content is really important. Another thing about millennials is research finds, and I've noticed this amongst my friends, that when we see the same content over and over again, it's a huge pet peeve. So we've got some examples here of different kinds of content you can post. You've got video, photos, GIFs, boomerangs, which we'll actually cover a little bit later in the presentation, infographics, quotes, and then we've got some resources on how to post your GIFs to Facebook or Twitter. And really the point of a GIF is like typically like a reaction gift, like a thumbs up. It shows enthusiasm. And so, but a lot of people don't know how to post them to Facebook or Twitter. So I posted them here in the slide, and we will also send them to you in a follow-up email. So tying your message to a holiday or observance, we get such great engagement anytime that we post a meme that has to do with a holiday. So on the right, you'll see this one is a meme for Parents' Day. And it got 69 reactions. It reached more than 3,000 people. That's pretty good. So anytime you can not only post about a holiday or observance, but actually tie it in to the work that you do, I've found that it gets really great engagement. Another thing you can do is try to tie your work to a campaign. Like we have been collaborating with the Count Me In campaign. So every time we post something on Twitter, we were hashtagging Count Me In. So it inserts you into a conversation in which there's all of these organizations all across the country that are participating in. And so a lot of people will be searching the hashtag. They'll see your post. It creates more reach. You can also just participate in trending general hashtags. So the one that we have here is Motivation Monday. A lot of people are probably familiar with these kind of hashtags. We use them a lot for Community Action Month. Motivation Monday or Thankful Thursday, or it's a way they're always there. People tend to use them throughout the year. Like Throwback Thursday is one that I feel like has been around for years and never goes away. So it's always a good way to sort of make something that you're posting timely. If you make something timely, people are much more apt to actually engage with it. Building relationships. So we were talking about tagging before. Tagging people or mentioning them is a great way to sort of create a relationship through social media. So if you have a success story or a development in your agency that we would be interested in, tag us on Twitter at CA Partnership, tag Denise at Partnership CEO. You can also, mention. Mention us on Twitter. On Facebook, you can mention us or tag us in the post. And a lot of times we will share, retweet, or even include it in the e-news. Another tip is you want to check in daily. Most followers that you have, they expect for you to respond the same day. And so the more that you're engaging with what they're saying, the more they're going to engage with your posts. So like every comment that you get, respond to every comment that you get, and do it the same day that you get them. And you'll want to measure your engagement, because then that's really the way that you're going to find out what's working, like what kind of content your followers are interested in. Facebook Insights is a good resource it's included. If you have a Facebook page, you just go to your Insights, and you'll see on the right, this is for Twitter Analytics, and it's got your 28-day sort of summary of how your posts have done, and then it actually lists all your posts individually. How many people saw it, how many people liked it, how many people retweeted it. And so you track your analytics over time. We even will post quarterly reports with graphs of Twitter performance, Facebook performance, to see how things are going, or if we have a campaign that's important, like for Community Action Month, we'll do a report just for the month, and then compare it to how we did the previous year to see what's working for us. Tips for increased comments. So this was included because I believe in the initial planning conversations, we were talking to Mary, a lot of people were getting they were asking, how can I get people to comment on my posts? So why do comments matter? So when someone comments on your post, more people are going to see it. You know, you're scrolling through Facebook and then you'll see so-and-so commented on this post. And a lot of times it may not even be a page that you follow, but because your friend commented on it, you'll see it. So, and the more comments that you have, the more people are going to see your post. And research actually finds that comments is the most effective method of Facebook engagement. So people on Facebook, if a conversation is already happening, one or two people even have commented on it, it's going to make the person much more likely to weigh in. If there's no comments, not so much. So we've got some tips to get people to comment. Ask a question in your post. You'll want something that promotes an open-ended discussion. So no yes or no answers. You'll want something timely that's related to a current trend or current topic, something that's buzzing, and something that's easy. Like if someone has to think too hard about their response, they're just not going to do it. You can craft your post to elicit quick comments. So we saw this in an example in one of the slides earlier with the multiple choice. You ask your followers a question, and they respond in that tweet from Save the Children, respond with an emoji. Other examples are caption this. So you could have like a staff member is maybe doing something funny, and then you ask people to caption it. Fill in the blank. So an example of this would be, a general example would be, if I could go anywhere in the world, it would be blank, right? So you ask your followers to fill in the question. If, you know, something that you could use specifically to your agency could be something like, when I think of your agency, the word that comes to mind is blank. And you ask your followers to fill in the blank. And again, like and reply to every comment that you get. We were also asked about captioning photos, tips on captioning photos. So you want to encourage conversation. So again, asking open-ended questions, not something that's going to elicit a yes or no response. Including a call for action. So you invite your audience to check out your latest blog posts, your customer success stories. This is something that you don't want to use it all the time, but occasionally it's good to just ask your followers directly to do something, to check out what you've been up to. Add value to your audience's day. So could be some valuable information like the latest news, a laugh or inspiration. That's why people are going to social media. Get news, to laugh, to just get inspiration, or have a good joyful experience. Be yourself. People generally on social media can tell when you're being authentic. So the most unique voice that you can use is your own. So be yourself and share a story. So how has your agency, customer, or staff member overcome an obstacle, made an impact? That's what people are interested in. For that reason, we with the impact report, Mr. Kennedy, he was a Wayne Metro customer, and he was about to lose his house, but with the help of Wayne Metro's tax services, he was able to keep his house. And I believe in the video, he was even going back to school, either a master's degree or it might have even been a PhD. But there were all these other details, like that he was a painter and all these things that really brought life and personality to his story. So I mentioned earlier the social media scheduling tools. The one we use is Hootsuite. So you'll see on the right here, this is a screenshot of the publisher, and it's got messages lined up for the whole week. This was during the annual convention. And you can link your Instagram, you can link your Twitter, you can link your Facebook. It's really great. You can even, you're scheduling your posts, you can even mention or tag people through Hootsuite, so you don't have to like hop back and forth between one or the other. And as I mentioned before, really the best thing about it is that it keeps you consistent. People are seeing your posts daily, just encouraging them to engage more, and you're ensuring that you're posting at the most optimal times. Additionally, Hootsuite provides great analytics, better analytics than the Facebook Insights or the Twitter analytics. So you can get reports on a whole month and how many people are engaging with your posts. I use them for our quarterly reports. I use them for our report on Community Action Month. But there's a bunch of scheduling tools out there. So I have a list here that I've included at the bottom of the slide, and it's also included at the end of the presentation.
And Johnny, this is Denise, just for a moment. For those of you who wear many different hats, that use of Hootsuite, if you're able to dedicate a couple hours a week or however you've managed your calendar to, this is my window of opportunity to talk about on social media, using that time to set up Hootsuite over the course of a week allows you to stay engaged, even if you're then doing a million different things. You heard Johnny say he set that calendar up before he went to Chicago for our annual conference, where he was not going to have time to do individual tweets and Facebook posts. So it can be a real time manager for you.
Thanks, Denise. So this brings us.
And I believe it's also free, right, Johnny? There's no cost to Hootsuite?
Well, so they have different options. There's a free option, and you can upgrade and you get additional features, but then you'll have to pay. But yes, there is definitely a free version that lets you schedule everything in advance. So check it out. If that one's not working for you, again, look at our list, and it's there's probably over a dozen, and it includes pricing, it includes the kind of features that you get. So Constant Contact, who out there posts a e-newsletter? Probably a lot of you. We just wanted to point out that when you post a newsletter, or I'm sorry, when you email out your newsletter, Constant Contact has a feature. After you've sent it, you scroll down and it says schedule post. So you can share your newsletter to your social media outlets directly from Constant Contact. So it saves you time, and it's a great little feature. I use it every time that I post our general e-news on Thursday, or when we do our convention e-news is on Tuesday. So here's some tips for promoting an event. Be enthusiastic. If you're excited about what you're doing, someone else is likely to be excited about it too. And if you're not, they definitely won't. Again, use photos. So here on the right, what we have is a photo of us packing totes for the annual convention. And I found that people love this kind of content. It got 56 reactions. 690 people saw it. People love the sort of behind-the-scenes shots when they see like what you're doing to prepare. But other examples, or you could take a picture of the venue. You can share photos from last year's event if you're trying to do promotional stuff ahead of time. Pictures of the planning phase. That's us right here, like packing the totes, or we posted one of us. In our staff meeting room. I think we were sort of sorting all of the materials that we were going to include in the totes. And group photos get really great engagement. That's the other thing. People want to see, people get so excited when they see like Jarl or Tiffany, someone that, maybe they don't see every day, and then they see the whole staff coming together to make something happen. It just always gets really great engagement. Another thing you can do is create an original hashtag for your event. The example that I have here is CapCon. That's for our annual convention. It's short. You also want something discernible. The longer that your hashtag is, the less engagement that it's going to get. Like, if you want someone to use your hashtag, you want it to be simple, something that they can remember. Catchy if possible, but it's not necessary, but if you can come up with something catchy, like I thought a catchy one that Liza came up with was the community action counts. It helps create buzz about your event, engagement, and it's searchable, you know. So if someone is interested in what's being talked about the event, you can easily search it. So you can track the conversation. You can see who's talking about your event, who's attending it. Oh, sorry. So as I mentioned before, showing what goes on behind the scenes, I think I mentioned this photo actually earlier. This is the one where we're sort of sorting all of the materials that we're going to include in the totes. Again, this one got pretty good engagement, got 42 reactions, 481 people saw it, so that was good. Some other ideas is you can create a contest or a giveaway. That's a really great way to promote your event. I mean, people love getting free stuff, right? So it's great. It's interactive. Share a story about your event. So if you're, having an about page for your event that tells like what the event is, the history of it, and include the link in your promotional posts. If you have sponsors, mention them or tag them in your posts. Speakers too. Oftentimes, if you engage your sponsors and speakers on social media, they'll retweet you, or they'll share the post, and sometimes they'll even create an original post of their own saying, I'm going to be at this conference or whatever event it is for us to be, conference, like come by and swing by the exhibitor hall or something like that. For instance, Mutual of America, they didn't just share a post, they created an original post, and they have 2,000 followers on Twitter. So that's increasing the reach of the event like so much. So they're basically kind of doing some of the advertising for you. Another thing that we always do is we broadcast at least one Facebook Live at every event. Did it at Annual, we did it at MLTC, we did it at the Immigration Summit. And that brings us to the next slide. Why do we do it? So videos get the most engagement amongst almost all social media platforms. On Facebook, videos are shared 12 more times than links or text posts. And Facebook Live is particularly important because people engage with it better than a video that you've uploaded to Facebook. They'll watch it 3 times longer than just an uploaded video. I think it speaks to it sort of being timely. The fact that it's live sort of makes it more exciting. And it's also really easy, which is great. Video, a lot of people are intimidated by it. They don't have a nice camera or they don't have editing software. When you do it live, you just press a couple buttons, and then that's all you have to do. There's no editing, and we've included a list of instructions for how to use Facebook Live. It's pretty simple. It's literally a couple clicks of a button. So some tips for what the kind of content that you'll want to go live is a specific topic or an event. You'll want to advertise it beforehand so people know that you're doing it. Before the event begins, if you're at an event, or if you've scheduled like an interview or something, you're going to want to check the internet connection, the lighting, the audio and video quality. Like for us, we usually meet at least half an hour before we're going to go live, just to make sure everything's in order, sometimes even an hour before. Have an outline. You're going to introduce yourself, you're going to introduce the topic or the event, welcome your viewers, thank them, and a lot of people forget that you need to write a description. You don't need to, but it's way better to write a description. So when you go live, it gives you an option to write a description for what the video is. That's going to draw people in. And oftentimes people will be liking and commenting as the video is live. So whoever's filming, they should be responding to commenters, or if you can have a separate staff member that's not filming but watching, and they could respond to the people that are commenting on your video. The more people that you have commenting while it's live, the more people are going to see it. And something you can do to follow up is share the recording later. You can even download it and edit it, cut it up, repurpose it, use it for something else later.
Johnny, just to pause for a minute, this is Denise. I've seen a lot of agencies use the Facebook Live. I'll see videos from different events or getting ready for something, and just the excitement comes through the computer or the phone, whatever platform I'm using to watch it on. And I hope that more of you kind of take the plunge. Now, here we have a business Facebook account, and we have a dedicated iPad that we use for that. So we know it works. We know it's linked up right to the right feed. So no matter who's here, we don't need to have the one person who knows how to use it, although that's helpful, to make it as easy as possible to get it up and get it open. And it can't be intimidating, like Johnny said, to be on camera, but people love that authenticity, I think, and it's just exciting when you see that come through when folks are doing Facebook Live. So I hope you try it.
Absolutely. A lot of good points there, Denise. Again, you don't need any kind of fancy equipment. You can do it from your phone. Like Denise said, we do it from an iPad. It can be intimidating, but it's really easy. All you need is your phone, and people know it's live. They don't expect it to be super polished. What they want to see is just that you're enthusiastic and then you're putting it out there and having a good time. So Instagram. We haven't talked about Instagram yet. I would say that there are much less agencies that are using it right now as opposed to Twitter or Facebook, but it's a really great platform because it has such high engagement. It has one of the highest engagement rates of all social media platforms, higher than Twitter, higher than Facebook. Most people that are on Instagram, they're checking their feeds multiple times a day. And they engage with posts at a really, really high rate. Another thing is, a good reason to have your Instagram is you're going to reach a much younger audience. You're seeing that things are trending in such a way that a lot of young people are using Facebook less and less. And so what they're using is Instagram or Snapchat. So you're going to reach a whole demographic that you're probably not reaching as much with your Facebook or Twitter, or you might not even be reaching at all. It's predominantly visual content, so photos and videos, and that is the most effective way to engage on social media as opposed to written content. And we've got some tips, I believe, in the next slide. How to use. So post the highest quality images you can. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have a really expensive camera, but just the best that you have available. You'll see here on the right, this is Union Snyder Community Action Agency. I believe they're in Pennsylvania. This is an Instagram story, actually, from the AmeriCorps Children's Fair. Some more tips we have here. The research shows that the more consistent you are with how much you're posting and the content of your posts, those are the most engaging accounts. So you might want to choose a go-to filter that you use for all of your photos, or you might want to sort of have a strategy of what kind of content you're going to bring to Instagram. For us, it could be the census stuff that we've made this huge push towards. This is something that we found really important. When it's sort of focused that way, Instagram users are much more likely to engage with like those kinds of Facebook profiles. Writing compelling captions is crucial. And actually what you'll find is even though people aren't going to Instagram for written content, a lot of times you'll see someone post a photo with this enormous caption. It does sort of draw people in, and it's definitely very important. Another thing you're going to want to do is include the link in your profile bio. It's the only place you can put a link other than Instagram story. So you can't, if you post a photo, there's no linking in the description. So make sure the link to your website is included in your bio. That way, if someone sees your posts, they can go to your bio, click on the link, and find out more about you. So what is an Instagram story? It's a feature on Instagram that creates photo and video sequences that disappear in 24 hours. Basically, Instagram just copied the idea from Snapchat. A lot of people use it to update their followers, share the behind-the-scenes sort of content. It kind of has a more authentic feel, similar to the Facebook Live. It's less polished. People are more. It's sort of inviting in a way for users because it disappears within 24 hours. And again, there's not this expectation that it's going to be something polished. And it has all these great features. You can add text, you can add stickers, you can add GIFs, include links, you can hashtag, you can check into a location. You can even link it to your Spotify and add music. Like Facebook, you can ask a question or create a poll, and people will respond. And when they do respond, they'll see the results of the poll. And we have a detailed guide on how to use Instagram here at the bottom. Again, it's also included at the end of the presentation.
Johnny, a couple of questions have come in. If we could just take a moment here. And one of them is directly related here to your Instagram conversation. Can you attach your Facebook and Instagram pages together? So if you post on one, if you make a Facebook post, it'll automatically go to Instagram or vice versa? Can they be connected, or do they have to be done separately?
So what we do is we connect them through Hootsuite. If you post something on Instagram, there is an option to share to Facebook. I don't know if there's a way to share both to Facebook and Twitter. I would say the easiest way is if you have a third-party platform that you use that you can just schedule them all at the same time. But definitely there is a way to post from one to the other, but I would say it's not as user-friendly or as easy as having a third-party sort of scheduling tool that you use like Hootsuite. So the answer is yes, but I would still highly recommend looking through our list of different scheduling tools and use that to schedule your posts.
Great, thank you. And the second question, so as you may have mentioned this, but asking whether or not you, right, Johnny, are dedicated to marketing efforts, or do you wear multiple hats of the agency? And I will say that Johnny is dedicated to marketing and communications. So his level of expertise, right, it is pretty deep across multiple platforms. And the questioner goes for further and says, the reason I ask is my primary role is really to manage programming, but we need to incorporate marketing into your effort. So totally understand that, and I'll just overlay my experience, and Johnny, I'll give you a chance to respond as well. Being the CEO here at the partnership, right, I can't be doing marketing and branding, but I always think about the marketing and branding in terms of what I'm doing. So I do have a CEO Twitter feed. It's currently awkwardly just on my laptop, and I need to do something. I used to have Hootsuite on my phone, but it got disconnected with an old password or something, so I'm not the easiest. It's a little clunky for me too, but when I'm at my desk, once or twice a day, I'll make sure to post something on that Twitter feed. We're lucky enough to have Johnny, so I can send him content. Hey, Johnny, post this, post this, post this. But I will say we have shared here at the partnership access to our Twitter feed, our Facebook, to other programmatic staff, whether that's Zandy and Tiffany on our whole family approach to poverty, and are there specific things that they want to make sure get out, or Gerald Crocker and our training and TA. They used to have their own constant contact and their own Twitter handle, although we've merged all of that into the partnership's Twitter handle. So I totally get that you're wearing multiple hats. It could be really a challenge. my recommendation would be to always be thinking in the forefront of your mind, boy, this would be great if it got up. And if there is somebody in your organization that you can send that to, great, but if not, do you have it loaded on your own desktop that you could easily post it? For instance, I also have Mozilla and I have Google Chrome open on my computers. I have two monitors, which is why I'm looking like this and this. And I have one loaded to the partnerships Facebook is always logged on my Chrome, and then I might have my personal Facebook loaded up on my Mozilla, or the same thing with the Twitter kind of stuff. Used to have training and TA on one and the partnership on the other. So there's ways to manage it behind the scenes, but it can be a lift. I don't want to discount that at all. Johnny, what would you add to that?
I would say it is a little bit of a lift. Probably the best thing is to find one person on staff that feels comfortable and have that person sort of in charge of producing content, but that doesn't mean that that's the only person that is participating. A lot of times what we do is Jarl or Tiffany or Denise will be traveling maybe to another conference, or they're doing a site visit to an agency, and then they'll send me a photo of what they're up to. And so it gets filtered through me so that I can sort of put it in our voice and things like that. But it's a good way of getting other people on staff to be participating without having to carry the burden of being the social media person. That's what I would add to that. A couple more things before we move on, though. Right, you'll see here on the right, this is someone who attended a Palmetto CAP event. So you'll see, like, they put the text "Disrupt Poverty." I don't know if it was at their conference or one of their other Disrupt Poverty events, and then they tagged Palmetto CAP in it. But I don't know who this person is. I saw it from Palmetto CAP's account. So if someone mentions you and their story, you can share it. It's the stories. It's really great. It really is the fastest growing feature on Instagram. It's the number one way that young people are engaging with social media. So again, I would encourage you to get an Instagram if you don't have one, and if you do already have one, to engage more with the stories, because it really sort of encourages people to keep producing content, because the content disappears within 24 hours. Boomerang. Some people are familiar with this. It's an app, and it takes a short burst of photos to create a little mini video. So it's kind of like a GIF. You can download it from the App Store or Google Play. It's really easy. If you to shoot one, you just find something that's moving. You hold down the button. Takes a second or two. Make sure you're sitting still while you're shooting, and then it produces a little mini video. And you can save it to your camera roll, or you can actually post directly from the app to your Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. We've got instructions here at the bottom on how to use Boomerang. A lot of people will use a Boomerang almost like a reaction GIF. So like a thumbs up. I've seen someone do a cartwheel, or jumping up in the air and throwing their hands in the air. It's a great way to sort of convey enthusiasm, or reply to someone's tweet or their post with your own kind of reaction GIF. Designing social media graphics. So we use Canva, and Canva's great. You can make memes, you can make brochures, you can make postcards. They have literally thousands of templates in all different sizes and all different kinds of publications. They have icons, really great stock photos, usually ones that are better than the free stock photo websites that I typically use. You can add illustrations, charts, edit colors, text, which is great to sort of like match it to your brand. We have a couple examples here: the Head Start meme, the Training Tuesday, and promotion for a Facebook Live that we did. I'll show you an example of how to use their template. Here's an example. So on the left, you see the generic Canva template. That's like a happy birthday message. And then you see on the right, our design. So really all we did was swap out the photos. We changed the colors to match our branding, changed the font and the text to match our message, what we wanted to put out there, and we just added the logo. It's so simple. Once you get the hang of it, it can take just a couple of minutes to come up with a really great design. And because they have so many different designs, it's just like endless. It really is, from my experience, the best design tool out there. So here's some tips and considerations of what to do if you're making graphic design. You want to think about what kind of story do you want to tell with your graphic and what kind of response you're trying to elicit. Typically, I feel like the kind of content that we put out is a story of success or overcoming adversity. Again, I mentioned Mr. Kennedy, like those kinds of stories, something that's rooted in opportunity. But we want to think about what will resonate to your specific audience and your community. If you're creating an infographic or you're including a statistic, be sure to double check your data and make sure before you use any photo that you have permission. If you need a place to find good free photos, I've included them. There's 3 I use. Pexels is the best one. Unsplash is pretty good. It sort of leans more towards like the artsy photos, so not all of the content on there is, I feel, usable for the kind of work that we do. But I do use it. It is a nice free website. And then Pixabay, which is pretty good, but really Pexels is my go-to. Here's some more tips and considerations. When you're making something, you want to make something that's going to inspire someone, something that's shareable, that has a clear message, gets to the point, and if you're not a designer, which a lot of us aren't, it doesn't have to be flashy. Something simple. Oftentimes, the design that's simple and has a clear message is the most shareable design there is. And just allow yourself some time to play with whatever tool you're using to create your graphics. Don't get discouraged. Once you get the hang of it, it's really not that hard, and it's actually really fun. And we have some design tools here. We use Canva again, but there's a bunch of different kinds. There's even, if you want to make a design from your phone, there's a bunch of different apps. So check out this list, see what works for you. And then I've included some additional graphic design tips here. It's graphic design tips for non-designers. I also want to show you guys that we created a little meme vault. It's a Dropbox link. It has all of the memes that we've produced in my time since being with the partnership. And it'll be ongoing. I'll continue to add things to it. If I find something that I missed, I'll certainly add it. If you see one that's dated but you want to use it, contact me. Most likely I still have the, it's probably still in the Canva, and I can probably easily edit it for you. If there's one that you saw that you don't see included, email me, and I can track it down and send it to you. And I also wanted to point out the fact that I'm available for editing customizing our impact report memes. I'm going to show you a couple examples. Got an email from someone at Community Action Partnership of South Texas. So I customized the meme to include their data and outcomes, included their logo. On the right is one for Northeast Iowa Community Action Corporation. That includes, the counties that they serve. It's got their logo. I get that graphic design can be sort of intimidating. So if you ever need help customizing any of our templates, email me. I'm available. I feel pretty comfortable with it at this point. I'm not a graphic designer, but I'm capable. And that brings us to the impact report materials here. We've got the report, the one-pager, the toolkit. I would show you guys this in the InDesign files, which allows you to customize the report to your own agency's data and outcomes. We've got our memes included, and all of these things are available on the web page. And again, if you need any help customizing, just send me an email.
Johnny, 2 additional questions have come in. Wondering if we could just pause for a moment. Somebody asked whether or not we've ever purchased the boost option on Facebook, and if we have or haven't, what's our thoughts on if it's worth it or not, and does it really increase visibility?
So we haven't, but we've been talking about it for quite a while. I went to a communications conference, and what I went away with was that it is worth it. But you sort of have to be strategic and targeted in doing it. But we actually don't have any experience at doing it ourselves. I feel like we probably should, but I can't really speak to it from any kind of personal experience.
Do you have a sense of what the cost is?
They have all different kinds of options. You can spend as little as $5, or if, depending on how long you want it to run, it can go up from there.
And are those the same things as Facebook ads? Because what I've heard, that Facebook ads are relatively inexpensive, so thinking in advance of events, fundraisers, and things like that?
Right, yeah. So, you'll see a post, and it'll say, this is sponsored content or whatever. It's basically an ad.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's cheap. If it's something that's really important that you want to put out there, I would definitely encourage you to, at the very least, look into it. You can spend as little as $5, and it really will increase your reach, because you have seen within the past couple of years that the Facebook algorithm is such that the content that you're putting out on your page seems like it's being viewed less than it was several years ago. So if you have a specific event that you want to boost, it's definitely a good way to go.
Great. Someone just posted that they have used it, and it's been very effective for very little cost from their perspective. So that's really great news. The second question is about Canva. Again, I know there's a free version, and you can go up from there. So do you have a sense on the cost of Canva?
I don't. I think it's like Hootsuite, where there's sort of different options. I've never looked at the finances behind, like what kind of account we have. I can definitely look into it and let folks know, but I'm not at the moment sure what kind of account we have with Canva.
You can do quite a bit, I know, on the free side of things, at least with Canva, to start from.
For sure. I would encourage folks to start a free account and see how you like it, and then go from there, for sure. Here we have a bunch of community action resources. So, we put out the toolkit. We also did a webinar, and we're posting this here because there's a lot of good social media tips within that toolkit and within the webinar. So if you want additional sort of tips on promoting a specific campaign, the Community Action Month toolkit and the webinar and the calendar is a really good resource to take advantage of and get some ideas for how to promote your campaign. And all of those materials are available on the Community Action Month webpage. And then this is the additional resources. It includes most everything that I've linked throughout the presentation. And again, we'll do a follow-up email with all of the resources. But tips on how to tag, best times to post, design tools, it's all here. And with that, I will pass it back to Denise.
Great, thank you, Johnny. And someone just actually, we're going to put in the chat window, said that they can, there's a way through Canva to get Canva Premium for nonprofits for free. So we're going to check that out as well, and maybe we have that, I don't know. But and TechSoup is also a great resource to get discounted technology and such. So it's great to hear Canva Premium could be free for nonprofits. So thank you for sharing that. We appreciate it. So we've given you a ton of stuff here today, and I know we want to talk a little bit. Many of you wear many hats, and many of you don't have dedicated comms people. Some of you do, which is fantastic. Your state associations can also be resources, and as you heard Johnny, please reach out. We can do specific memes. We can help you with all sorts of different things to give you templates that you can use. And I will just say, as a layperson, the snipping tool that's on your computer today is the easiest thing I have found to make great PowerPoint presentations. And I can make a meme if you need to by using the snipping tool and throwing in a text box and then grabbing my snipping tool back and make another picture of it. So that's just me, but I'm not a comms person. So thinking about engaging the breadth of your staff, because you have staff who are doing so many different things, because many of you are running on low resources when it comes to communications, again, think about strategic staff conversations at your staff meetings. What's on our agenda? Is it a special month? Is it Head Start's birthday month? Is it Community Action Month? Is it Weatherization Month? Is it Domestic Violence Awareness Month? Is it Child Abuse Awareness Month? There are a lot of places that your staff might have their fingers in. So talk about it, strategize about what makes sense for us to deploy this month. Also encourage your staff to take pictures. They're going to get different angles, different perspectives, and just to have them share with you, whoever is doing the a variety of perspectives. And again, be conscious of, as staff, keeping your personal stuff separate from your professional stuff. You want to make sure there's a wall there. There was a story a couple years ago, I forget which national organization, it wasn't Community Action, but it was another well-known national organization, and their comms person had been out with friends and on their phone got confused about what account they were tweeting from, and they were able to recover from that, but an inappropriate tweet went out, and I think that has happened to other corporations and other nonprofits. You just want to make sure you keep your social media profiles separate from your professional. And again, if you do have if you are doing a somewhat mixed personal professional, you want to make sure you're always clear that these tweets are my own, Denise, or are they part of my role as CEO of the partnership? Those are two very distinctive categories of postings that you want to make sure you're clear on. Next slide. And then cautions and policies. You really want to make sure who has the authority, because this is just like a communications when you're having a spokesperson for the organization. I will say when we do marketing and branding sessions, sometimes we'll talk about free the brand, which, we want to make sure people are using it in fun, creative ways. And when on my Facebook feed, I follow a lot of agencies and associations, and it's always so moving to see all the great stories. You really want to make sure you have some social media policies in place, and our risk assessment tool that we've done with the Nonprofit Risk Management Center does have some components in there. If you complete the assessment, we'll have some social media strategies or draft policies for you to consider. So again, you'll just want to be careful about who has permission to access your accounts, and I'm for, it shouldn't just necessarily be one person in today's day and age. It's too dynamic, there's too much stuff going on. People are going to have different perspectives, different viewpoints. You don't always want my lens as CEO. I want a variety of folks in my organization's lens when it comes to cool stuff happening or things that we want to make sure we get out to the broader public. But you're going to want to make sure you have some social media policies for your organization. There was a question that comes in, what was the name of the organization you mentioned for free or reduced? It was TechSoup. That is the one that I believe I mentioned. I don't know if there was another, but it was Canva that offers apparently premium Canva for nonprofits for free. Now, whether you do that right through Canva or you do that through TechSoup, I don't know. But again, TechSoup is a great resource for the nonprofit CAPs in the world. Now, on the public CAP side of the world, right, you're going to have your own policies, procedures, social media policies that probably have to go through a various food chain. But I have seen public CAPs where the department has its own Twitter feed. I've seen public CAPs with their own Facebook feeds that I follow. So it's really great to see public CAPs and nonprofit CAPs be able to engage in this space. So thank you. Next slide. So A couple last things, and Johnny, I'm going to give you a 20-second warning for any last comments that you want to make before we kind of wrap it up here today. But I've seen some comments come through the chat window that people are pleased with today's session. People have hung on. We maybe lost 2 or 3 people during the last hour, which is phenomenal in terms of hanging on with us. This is recorded. It will be up on our website. We'll get you the slides. Please follow us on Twitter. And Instagram and Facebook. Just like you, we like to have likes and we like to have followers. We'd love to have you. So please sign up. That would be great. And tag us. You're right. Tag us in your stories. Make sure we're paying attention. Our Twitter feed gets a ton of stuff. We follow a lot of people. So tag us at Community Action Partnership or at CA Partnership. Tag us at Partnership CEO. We will retweet. We will like your posts. We will retweet you. And I don't even know what you do on Instagram, but we will re-Instagram you, however you do that. So please do that. Another tip, once we get to Community Action Month, we're going to be using, well, not even Community Action Month. Think about hashtag CSBG works, hashtag CSBG works, hashtag Be Community Action. There's a lot of things that we'll be sending out for you as well. So let's go through the next couple of slides here real quick. We've been taking questions as we've gone through. We're going to be in Puerto Rico in January for our winter conference. Just in Chicago, we did do a communications track. We'll work to get all those slide decks posted as well for folks to download. And registration for Puerto Rico will be opening soon, and we'll make sure to have some communication stuff going on there as well. Next slide is Johnny's email address. Please reach out to him if you have follow-up questions, you want a meme, you want a little bit of assistance, don't hesitate to ask. And let's go to the last slide that again has some of our more popular hashtags and again has our 2 Twitter feeds there as well. So Johnny, what would be some of your final words to leave with attendees here today?
I would second what you said about tagging us or mentioning us. We're always looking for content. We want to know your stories. We want to see your impact. It's mutually beneficial. We want to promote your stuff, but also when you have great success stories, it really sort of helps promote our presence too. And so tag us. We'll often retweet, we'll share, create an original post, and oftentimes run it in the e-news. And then the other thing I would say is, again, email me if you need any help. If I can, I will definitely, I will help you in any way I can. Like I said, I'm not a graphic designer, but I am capable. So any sort of question that you have, any sort of assistance you need, just send me an email and we'll work it out. And other than that, I just want to thank everyone for coming today, and thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Johnny. And keep in mind that October is Weatherization Month, and Weatherization Day is October 30. So if you're just tipping your toes into the water a little bit, we're going to have a toolkit. We're going to have a webinar on how to get engaged in Weatherization Month. If you're not in the social media pool, now's a great time to jump in. So with that, we will sign off. Thank you, everyone, for being part of today, and we will see you soon. Thank you.